Hey guys, Sleepy Reader here. Just some more comic book thoughts or comic book grumblings. I think I'm just going to say just a few things about some of these comics. Unholy Grail ended with issue 5. I was really disappointed because I had high hopes for this comic of this kind of twisted version of the Camelot story, but it just kind of rolled along and very quickly wrapped up. Maybe if it had been like a 12-issue story and they really explored all their ideas and their variations on these familiar characters, it would have been an interesting thing, but it just felt like they were there to wrap it up. And this one had great art, and I thought the art got even better as the issues went along. So this artist, Mirko Kolak, is someone to look for. Also had great coloring by Maria Santaolalla. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But I'm really starting to get a feeling with Aftershock Comics that they go downhill. They start strong and they go downhill. I hope I'm wrong. I'm reading some others. I don't know how long Colin Bunn also is writing Dark Arc, and I don't know how long that's going for, but that has started to get more kind of murky in terms of what's going on and plot-wise and character and stuff. But hopefully that will have longer to stretch out and explore its themes. One that I really did like was, this was a while back now, but the Curse Words Christmas Special. I just seem to enjoy Curse Words more and more. And this basically was an issue of what would it be like to have Christmas in hell? Because that's really what the whole world that our hero from Curse Words comes from. It's hell. It's a hell anyway. So everything in it is sadistic and pain and suffering, and everyone's going to lose big time. So this was very, very fun to read. You just accept it's Christmas in hell and you have a good time. Still liking Royal City a lot. Parts of this issue kind of focused on this character. I can't remember his name now, but he's our writer character, and how he just, after high school, went to work in the factory with his father. And so there's quite a bit of the reflecting on the dull deadliness of it. And I've worked in factories, not recently, but a lot in my 20s. And yes, there's a dull side to it at some of the jobs, but there's often a camaraderie. There's often an excitement that you're making money and putting money in your pocket, especially when you're young and you get out of high school and you get a job. Or in my case, I got jobs in factories after college. But anyway, so I feel like I still like this issue, but my one quibble was just with kind of this cliche of the factory life, as if the whole community is repressed by the fact that most people work in a factory and their lives are absolutely bleak and such. But I think there's always more going on in people's lives than that. That's just what I want to say. I knew better. My rule is never jump into crossovers and events, and I did it anyway because it was Pete Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, and I was already getting Superman, and I had kind of regretted dropping Super Sons, so I picked up the Super Sons, and then I realized, I've got to get the Teen Titans, and it went on, and so I got all 6 or 7 issues of this crossover event, or maybe it was just 5. It felt like 7. But in the end, it amounts to nothing, as these events often do. And I'm not even totally clear what it really is saying about things, even though the finale issue had people just talking over what had happened for the whole issue. And yet, I don't know. And I don't care. I dropped Superman. I'm not going to pick back up on Super Sons. Part of me wants to pick up some more Action Comics just because they're coming up to issue 1000, and that 1000th issue looks like it'll be fun little collector's item to own. And also, I just want some plain old fun Superman stories. he's the iconic hero, and I don't want anything special from him. I want Superman fighting weird villains and having little soap operas with Lois Lane. I prefer the days when Lois Lane didn't know who he was, and there was this weird love triangle between him and Lois and Clark. But anyway, that is all gone. That part's all gone. But still, I want the basic Superman stories, which at first in Rebirth it felt like we were getting, but now they're just muddled muck, in my opinion. And I'm just sad about that. I want Superman to be Superman and just be a superhero having superhero stories. I'm not too old to read superhero stories. But anyway, so I may grab some Action Comics and try to get... Also on Action, I hear there's all these different variant covers. I don't think they're going to cost anymore, but each one represents a different decade. And like, I think they're going to have Steve Rude do a cover for the 40s and Michael Allred do a cover for the 50s and Jim Steranko do a cover for the 60s. And which cover do I choose? I don't know. I pushed myself through to the end of Bug and loved the art. Michael Allred, hated the script by Michael Allred's brother Lee. And I know that Lee and Michael grew up as comic book fans, but Lee went on to be more of a fiction writer, and I haven't read any of his fiction, but I feel like he doesn't get what makes a comic book work. And he's doing a mock children's comic and thinking it's just ironic, but it has no flow. I just lost interest constantly. Yes, he was trying to do some sort of fun wrap-up on a bunch of different obscure comic, Kirby comic book stories, like the end of OMAC and what happened to Atlas and things like that. And then it got really absurd because we wrapped things up. I'm going to spoil it. We wrapped things up basically by meeting God, the maker of the source, and God's wife. And it turns out that this girl who's been in the whole story is God's daughter, or the source's daughter. And it's just, it just really annoyed me. But I love the art. I enjoyed best, with all the Kirby stuff that DC put out this year, I enjoyed all those one-shots. I don't think I got to do videos about them. None of them were very good, but each one reminded me of a little corner of coolness that Kirby had done. And I guess in that way, Bug worked, but it would have been better just as a one-shot, in a sense. Here's a comic book I'm really enjoying, but I'm really afraid because you might be able to see... Oh man, the camera really doesn't want to... You might be able to see that it is an Aftershock book. It's called Monstro Mechanica, and the heroes are this female apprentice of Leonardo da Vinci and this wooden automaton robot that Da Vinci has built that seems to be learning and growing. And... we're caught up in the era of the Medicis and all of their betrayals and politics and little wars. And it's really well done. I'm really enjoying it. The writer's Paul Allar. The artist is Chris Evenhouse. I think Chris Evenhouse is a good artist, but... between his art being very sort of undetailed and the style of the coloring, it's not really doing much for me, especially for making me feel like I'm in the Renaissance. There's probably a lot of different approaches you could take to make me feel like I'm in the Renaissance, but I don't know. There's something about this art that just seems like the wrong choice for the Renaissance. Although I have to admit the artist is a very good storyteller and helps push along the story really well. So I hope, I'm gambling that Monstro Mechanica doesn't follow this Aftershock curse of the issues getting worse as they go along. So do they list editors here? Mike Martz is the editor, and that name's really familiar. I think he's an experienced editor from Marvel and DC at some point. So finally, I read the first trade of The Wildstorm, the latest incarnation of Jim Lee's brilliant universe, out of which came the Authority, and I guess Planetary was part of it, and etc. I think we're mostly playing around. I can't always pick up on which character is which from the past, because I've read some Authority and some Stormwatch, but I never read any Wildcats. But I really enjoy it, and it kind of has a slow pace in a way. Not a whole lot has happened in the course of this first 5 or 6 issues that are in this trade. So I do worry how much story. I'm enjoying it, and hopefully Warren Ellis will complete it, especially because he's working for DC rather than on his own at Image or something. Hopefully Warren Ellis will complete it. I'm not sure how deep we'll go into all these things that I've now become really interested in. But I enjoyed it quite a bit. For me, the art was just okay. It looks good now as I'm flipping through it. But somehow at times it didn't tell the story. So there was times when it was kind of unclear. And at times where it felt kind of empty, kind of the art that's expecting the coloring to do more of the work, and maybe I wasn't totally a fan of the coloring here all the time. I don't know. I just felt like the art was lacking in some sense in fully fleshing out the story. John Davis Hunt, multiple colorists, 3 different colorists. Anyway, but no, I thought it was really worth my money, and I really enjoyed reading The Wildstorm. But I seem to be picking away at everything. And I really liked the revisioning all these what were once kind of people in tights and superheroes as kind of just a bunch of high-level secret agents and assassins and secret corporate types and such. It was done really well. And it's exactly what you'd expect from Warren Ellis, I suppose. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now. I may come back with some more comic book thoughts if I have the energy and time. Talk to you all later.